Pulling the Thread podcast, episode 69.
Are we even rolling?
We're going to do some Mongolian throat singing. Try it.
Me.
Are you auto-tuning me? Is that why I sound so good?
No.
Listen, you can hear the echo in my mouth.
Podcast Charlie 69.
Charlie 69.
Charlie 69. That was my my rack number when I got to 19. Charlie 69.
Your rack number at 19. Was 19 your first place?
19 was my first place.
Because you didn't have a rack later on, right?
No, it wasn't a rack. It was your rack number. So my rifle said Charlie 69
Oh, got it. I
helmet.
thought you meant like your bed.
My helmet said Charlie 69 on it.
For boot camp?
No, this was
Advanced
in the
infantry?
fleet. This was in the fleet. This is 1st Battalion, 9th Marines.
What year was that? Was that in Vietnam?
No, it wasn't in Vietnam. It was pretty close. It was pretty close to Vietnam.
Were you guys?
We were still using Vietnam gear. If that makes you feel better.
But it wasn't canvas.
No, I had the cotton H suspenders from Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they had nylon by then.
There was a mix. There was still some of the old shit.
Because wasn't the 3 M16 mag pouch with the grenades, wasn't that Vietnam? Mm-hmm. The green stuff?
Late Vietnam.
Late Vietnam.
They still had duck canvas.
Who was more badass, early Vietnam or late Vietnam?
Who was more badass? I mean, they had cooler shit at the end.
If you were going to Vietnam, which Vietnam would you want to be in?
The Vietnam I went to.
The modern day one?
The modern day one where you could get a cheeseburger.
Where they had a refrigerator in the out tunnels.
Where no one was trying to kill you.
Did they have power in the tunnels during Vietnam?
I'm sure they did. They had to have. No, maybe they just used candles. I don't know what they did down there.
You couldn't stand up though, right?
It's really making my breath. What?
But you couldn't stand up and run,
yeah,
right?
you could stand up.
They like Ho Chi Minh fucking hopped.
No, you could stand up in there.
Really?
Yeah, I went on a tunnel tour. I was in the tunnels.
So is it like NORAD down there?
No, it's more like it would be more like a early day coal mine. Like if you had to dig your own coal mine. So they were narrow and it wasn't super tall. It was like an early day coal mine.
But you didn't have to duck under?
There were some places you had to duck. Because again, they're shorter.
So the water table wasn't fucking them up? Isn't it like a swamp everywhere there?
It is a swamp everywhere, but no.
Were they digging under water and shit?
I don't know if they ever dug under water.
How far do you think the tunnels went?
Oh, they're huge. Just the ones that we went to, which were right on the DMZ. I mean, we could have stayed there all day walking through tunnels.
And they're still currently there.
They're still currently there. Yeah.
Do they take?
It's a tourist. It's a tourist trap.
No, I'm aware of that. But do they take maintenance? Like, do they have to maintain them and shit, or are they still like they're just there?
I'm guessing they have to do maintenance on them because they would fill up with water.
Because there's cities that are like biblical cities, ancient cities, and stuff, where they say they could put hundreds of thousands of people underground, but it's like carved stone and shit.
Right. I mean, they could move back into them. There's nothing. Well, maybe not. There's nothing in them. Like they got mannequins that are like, this is where we slept. This is where the hospital was. But there's really nothing in them. It's just tunnels.
Was their medical on par with ours, you think?
No way. It was on par with like the Amish.
Civil War.
Yeah.
The Amish.
I'm sure that's all it was. It was like, probably even Civil War level. I'm sure they were hacking limbs off and all kinds of crazy shit down there.
Because you don't see pictures of a lot of Vietnamese running, because they all died from fucking infection, I guess.
Maybe.
You don't see a lot of those pictures. So how did you fare during the eclipse?
I survived.
Did you see
Unbelievable.
it?
Of course, yeah. I went, me and Lil Spoon went to Memphis.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because was close to the apex.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Were you under a metal roof?
No, I was outside.
You weren't worried about turning into a pile of sand?
No, I wasn't worried about the pile of sand.
What were you worried about?
I was worried that NASA's rockets would explode the sun and we would all die.
Did you hear anything about that?
No.
Did they, in fact, launch 3 rockets?
I don't know.
Did CERN spin up?
CERN didn't spin up.
Did you see the thing cross the sun? You see all those videos?
No, I didn't see any of those.
Yeah, they're saying like they allude you to believe it's UFOs. Other people are like, that looks like a helicopter. there's supposed to have been a lot of military aircraft activity during this time also. So apparently the military was not worried about it taking out their electronics or anything.
No, I mean, again, I know people love a good conspiracy, but this is a natural phenomenon that happens all the time.
Happened 7 years ago.
Yeah, in
a different manner.
In our spectrum of the universe, but again, it happens all the time on the planet. Just different places. So it's not like this is some crazy unknown. It's just because it's flying over your house, and now all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, sacrifice a goat."
So why do you think they made such a big deal about it, even with, like, as far as the National Guard activating units and stuff?
Because they're trying to distract everybody from the reality of what's going on in this country.
What do you think that is?
The collapse of the dollar, the collapse of Ukraine, the collapse of everything, and the general malfeasance of the Democratic Party.
Did we stop paying Ukrainians? I heard something about that the other day.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, meaning, did we stop giving them big lump sums of money that is untrackable and they're buying mansions down in Florida with? I do believe we stopped that. But there's always like a back, you know what I'm saying? There's always a back, like they probably did a bill there's probably a bill out there right now where it's like, save the children. And it's the children are going to get $100,000, and then in the back thing it says Ukraine gets $100 million. Mm-hmm. That's how they do it. It's just bullshit.
I wonder what Congress passed during the eclipse. I wonder what was going on.
I don't know. And again, if the idea of the eclipse was a distraction, it worked, because I wasn't paying attention to anything but the eclipse.
See, all the feminists, some big group for them, said that all the women are getting punched in the mouth because of MAGA. It's all MAGA's fault. It's all Trump's fault.
Again, people are just looking for reasons to hate Trump. You got punched in the mouth because you're a bitch.
No. They're talking. It's all the illegals that are punching them in the mouth, putting them on rail tracks and all kinds of shit.
Oh well, that again, crime. That is your government spinning it, because it is 100% Joe Biden's fault that you got pushed onto the railroad tracks. It's 100% Joe Biden's fault that you're getting punched in the face down on the subway. It's 100% the Democrats' fault. None of this would have happened under Trump, so suck it. That's all it is the Democratic Party they're just spinning all this. It's propaganda. They're just using these organizations to spin propaganda to try and make it out to be that it's somebody else's fault. It's nobody's fault but the Democrats, period. You don't even need to discuss it. And if you are that much of a moron that you can go, yeah, it's Trump's fault that somebody got pushed on the railroad tracks, maybe you need to get pushed on the railroad tracks. I mean, that's it. You're that much of a fucking moron that you can't look around and go, man, the Democratic Party is doing everything it can to destroy this country.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
So did you see that they're saying that bird flu has crossed into dairy cows now? So, of course, the big push is that we need to ban more of these rogue milk farmers, all the people doing raw milk and raw milk goods. We have to really come down and pass some more legislation and bills and get rid of these guys.
There's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that all over the place, not just dairy farmers, but
yeah, there's a big push to register backyard chickens.
Yes.
We need to know how many you have, where they are.
There's going to be a big push for that, and none of it is for safety. All of it is for
control. Remove,
well, it's reality. It's for Purdue. It's for whoever the major milk, whoever owns all the fucking milking cows in the United. It's for them. They're just trying to protect their stock, right?
At the same time, take away your ability to feed yourself.
I don't think the government is really inept. The government is really, doesn't have the capability of understanding anything that's going on in the world. Right. So you don't have like AOC isn't thinking at night, man, all these rampant chickens, I really need to do legislation. AOC is sitting at night wondering what color she's going to paint her toenails. And then lobbyists from the chicken corporations are like, hey, who are all these motherfuckers who are putting chickens in their backyards? all they're doing is creating legislation in order to keep people buying Purdue chickens, not making chickens in their. It's same thing with the milk. That legislation is solely from milk producers because they want to keep their bottom line. Because again, if drinking unpasteurized milk is better for you, and more people are doing it, what's happening? That means milk is sitting on the shelf. Their bullshit milk is sitting on the shelf. So it's not the government thinking they're going to do something great for the country. It's lobbyists that are up there going, the milk industry is going to collapse if we let these people drink homemade milk. That's really what it is. It's just these assholes at fucking major corporations that are trying to keep their bottom line. And what they're not understanding is we are on a population collapse, right? So less and less people are drinking milk, not because everybody has cows. They're drinking less milk because there's less people, and you've created this whole woke culture that thinks that milk is bad. So that's why you have less milk. It's all bullshit.
They've moved to cricket milk.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
You know it's a real thing, right?
No, I don't know how you would make cricket milk.
It's a cockroach milk.
I don't know how you would make cockroach milk.
Well, you haven't heard about that?
No.
Oh, yeah. Look up cockroach milk, see what you can find. It's no bullshit.
I thought we went all full circle back to this new thing called cow's milk.
Well, some have. Yeah, cockroach milk.
Yeah. It's called Diploptera punctata, and they give birth to live offsprings. Yeah. Protein rich.
Where do you buy it?
I don't know.
You don't see it?
The Bill Gates store. The Bill and Melinda Gates store.
Yeah, I don't see where you can get it from.
Not available yet.
It will be.
It will be.
Or you know what it'll probably be? Here's how they get you. What it'll probably be is a milk substitute. So when they're making you cookies, they're putting cockroach milk in there.
Or when you're buying a non-dairy creamer.
Scientists are saying that it may be the next superfood.
No, it's not the next superfood, guys. Stop it. You know what the best superfood is? Red meat.
Ribeye.
Yeah, that's the best superfood.
Ribeye.
So stop it with your cockroaches and your bugs.
Well, we planted 400 plants this weekend.
Good.
By we, I mean Kiri. Kiri planted 400 plants.
What are you going to do with them?
Nothing. Same thing we always do with them. Take a bunch of pictures and video.
Why don't you force one of your male employees to sell it all at the, what's that thing in Huntington?
The flea market?
The swap meet.
At the swap meet. Why has it got to be one of the male employees?
Well, because the male employees need stuff to do. So why not have one of them go down there and do it?
You know, we have a farmer's market in Camden now.
Oh, really? Nice.
Across from Walmart, where all the tiny houses are, the sheds.
So why don't you sell your lettuce and tomatoes and strawberries and...
Because it costs me more money than to sell it. By the time I pay an employee and put him down there or take him down there or give him a vehicle to go down there, it costs more than it costs to actually than we would profit. For the headache of it, it's just not fucking worth it. It's just meat on the hoof. We just do it so that we know we can do it, and we develop the soil, and we add fertility to the soil. We'll take, there's a ton of jalapenos. We'll take all the jalapenos, and we do mammoths, so they're really big. We'll chop that shit up, and she'll do, pickled jalapenos with that. And then those big jalapenos are great because you can slice them open and put a piece of string cheese in them, wrap them in bacon, and they're amazing. It's a few of those is a meal in itself. They're big. And then there's a bunch of medicinal stuff, oregano and...
Oh, yeah, I forgot that she's doing her tinctures.
All that stuff, yeah. Have you used any of that shit?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Dude, when I get around a large group of people, hundreds of people, and at the end of the night, my throat's kind of sore. And I don't ever know if it's because I'm yelling or it's probably both, because I'm speaking much more elevated, and I'm also exposed to people from all over the world. But when I take a couple droppers of that shit, it knocks it out immediately.
What shit? What are you taking?
Oregano oil.
Yeah, oregano oil.
So she takes the oregano oil, but she runs it in a infusion process that super infuses it because of the heat and the turbulence in it. So it makes it much more saturated, and then she puts it in the bottle. So it's just a couple droppers. I think she gave you some of it. It works like.
Not the oregano oil.
I'll give you some. Man, I've had like dozens and dozens of people like, holy shit, this works. We got a buddy, Ridge Runner Blades was here, and he's a knife dealer, huge, like sells tons of Microtech and stuff. And he was in a motorcycle accident about a year ago, and literally his foot was off his body, like it was just holding barely. And they put it all back together. He's like, man, nothing helps this. Nothing helps. I always feel this. And he, out of the blue, he told Evan, he's like, hey, that shit works. And I'm not, like, within really quick, it took the pain away. And he said, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, I'm not sure what's in this. But it's all, like, natural shit. There's no, like...
One would say that cocaine is natural, John.
Well, is it not?
It is.
Is it not?
It is.
Can we grow it? How do you grow cocaine?
With a coca leaf.
Is that real?
It's real, yeah.
Is it illegal to grow or just illegal to process?
I believe it's illegal to grow.
Wouldn't you want to have it if society collapsed for sedation and surgery and stuff?
I don't know.
Isn't it, it's a great stimulant, right?
Heroin, too. You can grow that.
But if they didn't use cocaine for sedative, right?
Oh, yeah. They use cocaine for all kinds of crazy shit.
So how's it an upper then?
I don't know. I mean, it is, but I don't know. Again, they use cocaine for all kinds of shit. And at the end of the Civil War, they were like, people are addicted to...
They were putting them in asylums.
People are addicted to whatever. Let's give them cocaine. They won't be addicted to that anymore.
Well, I think it was laudanum, or they were using cocaine to get them off laudanum.
Yeah.
Do you remember the psychiatrist that was writing from the asylum about all these studies and shit, and turned out he was actually an inmate. He was a patient. Do you remember that story?
Remember that. Yeah, I do remember that story.
And he was like submitting
like
all his...
They actually went to meet and talk to him.
Yeah, the doctor. And come and find out he's a fucking patient.
Inmate, yeah.
He was submitting all kinds of studies and shit to the magazines and stuff, to the newspapers.
Yep.
What about, did you ever see poppy? Did they have poppies in Iraq? Or is that just Afghanistan?
I never, a lot of guys I knew walk through the fields, like the poppy fields and then the marijuana fields and the whatever else they grow over there. Like I got a lot of guys that have pictures of the plants like over their head and shit. But I don't think I was ever, they like to send Marines to the shittiest places. So I don't think I was ever anywhere where they were actually growing that stuff.
Didn't they, guys said we were guarding this field, they pulled us out or whatever, and then the next day the field was empty? Like they just harvested it all and nobody knew where it went?
Well, the reality is in Afghanistan, it was the number one crop.
So the CIA took it?
No. They let them harvest it and they let them sell it. We were not necessarily protecting poppy fields because we weren't.
Where does it sell to?
It sells to all over India, Pakistan, and it goes into
for drugs or for like pharmaceuticals?
Drugs. No, drugs. They're selling it as fucking heroin and shit. All over Europe.
We had like poppy fields in California, right? The California poppy fields.
Different kind of poppy.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, different kind.
Completely different.
Not heroin.
Is there another use for it other than heroin?
Well, it's just a derivative of a drug that we used to use for pain management, things like that, and it just got it's like what's the shit that everybody takes now? Not MDMA. I guess maybe it is MDMA.
Like ecstasy?
Yeah, like ecstasy. Ecstasy before everybody started using it as a party drug, was a drug that they were administering to help people from something. I don't know.
I thought they were looking for like the limitless drug with that.
No, it actually was I think, again.
Not pharmacist.
I'm not a pharmacist, but I want to say it was Bell palsy or there was a real clinical thing that people had that they would give MDMA to or ecstasy. And then
Bell's palsy is where you have a paralysis on one side of your face.
I think so, yeah. So I don't know. Again,
but a lot of times I think that goes away.
Outside of my wheelhouse. So how was SRF?
I think it was good. I think it was smooth.
Your blood pressure got way high there at the end.
Why?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
that last little talk, I'm like, John's about to pop.
Really?
Yeah, your blood pressure was super high.
What was your take on it?
For me, it was pretty normal.
Yeah.
Here's you normally. There was you.
Should I be honest or should I change my answers dependent on the person asking the question? Shouldn't the answer just be truthful?
Yes.
Well, that's what they want.
I mean, you're fat, so stop being fat.
But that's what they want. But I don't know why your blood pressure was high. It wasn't because you were telling people honest answers. You were getting. It seemed like you were there at the end. You were getting. I don't know if agitated is the right word. But you could see it. You could literally watch the video. I think see it.
I think it's good for the final product.
Except you did keep telling that girl that was looking for a man. You did keep referring to the significant other as she.
What?
Yeah, you did keep saying she.
I don't remember who we're even talking about. What did she ask me?
That was the one at the end, the girl at the end, where she was talking about being able to find somebody.
Was that not a dude?
No, that was a girl.
Maybe, okay.
Where you made all the dudes stand up that were single?
Well, I made everybody stand up. Did you notice that over half the crowd was single?
Yeah, of course.
And when I said, hey, who's looking for a mate or a spouse, they all raised their hand. I'm like, okay, here you go. Now all you guys go over there when I'm done yelling at you. You all go over there.
And you specifically said, you're not running it. But, man.
I did go to buy singlesonly.com or singleprepper.com. It's already taken. But, they want like $13,000 for it.
But I think you're fucking up. Forget Homestead Apprentice. You should do the SRF dating show.
Do naked and afraid homestead.
The SRF dating show. I am sure that.
Well,
would
I just
be way
say because
better.
people have asked for this. Hey, can we have some kind of identifying marker to people that are single? And Nicole is very much against it, almost combative for some reason about it. So I'm like, but they're asking for it. Why not just give them what they're asking for? So she's like, I'm not going to make people wear I think she even said Scarlet Letter or something, but here are the bracelets, right? If you are interested in having a relationship, just here's a bracelet. You guys put it on now. You can identify each other. You don't have to do it. You can just, if you wish to.
You don't even have to do that. You're here. Everybody's here for 3 days, roughly.
Somebody said instead of the VIP dinner, we should have a singles dinner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just have it doesn't even have to be considered like a singles dinner. Just have like a single social. Right, where
I think the Mormons do that. They have like a singles. I think all churches do, don't they? They have like a singles Bible study thing.
Why not? Why not get everybody? Okay, here's the issue. The issue for a singles roundup at SRF is the same issue you're going to have when you told everybody to stand up. It's going to be 3 girls and 25 guys.
Is that what it was?
Yes. It's going to be 3 girls and 25 guys. So. We're going to have to bust in some girls.
Well, I mean, she's got a lot to choose from.
It's true. That's why it should be like a dating game. Like you hosting, you get three singles up on the thing and you hosting it. It'd be awesome.
Because Weatherman's like preppersonly.com. I went to buy it and it was, somebody has it. They want a lot of money for it, more than I want to pay for it.
It'd be awesome.
But there are other options. SOE, singles only or whatever.
Bring your bitch by.
You married the wrong bitch.
There you go.
YMTB. You married the wrong bitch. YMTBR. I can't. Whatever.
It should be don't marry the wrong bitch.
Don't marry the
So
wrong
you have
bitch.
to bring her by before you get married.
What relationship advice would you give if you were counseling some youngsters?
What relationship advice I would give them? I'd say don't settle.
Don't settle.
Don't settle. Don't.
There's another side to
Don't
that
settle.
that you hear.
Don't get cricket loaf.
There's another side to that is that when you get together, get married quickly. Don't have a long engagement, and then make it work. Okay, we're not going with that one.
No, I don't. Again, marriage statistically in this country is fucked.
Well, you've seen me through 30 years.
Yeah.
You've seen serious relationships or somewhat longer relationships.
I don't.
What advice would you have given me?
I don't know, because you're a weird animal. You're a weird animal, so I don't think I would have any advice for you, because you're just weird how you execute things.
Flesh that out a little bit.
I would never consider John Willis as being in a serious relationship.
Really?
Yeah, even when you were in a serious relationship. I would never consider it seriously. I would only consider it 10 minutes away from something else. I mean, again, you're forgetting. I knew you all through Oceanside days. I knew you through, I'm never going to get to 10. So I never considered, you in a serious relationship. I mean, it's different now, right? You and Amanda how long have you guys been together now?
Off and
10
on.
years?
More than that. Like, I knew Amanda in Oceanside. That's where I met her. We weren't ever together for real.
Yeah, but I would never consider you, again, off and on, but I wouldn't consider that.
Her and I have been in Tennessee for 18 years now.
Yeah. I would never consider anything in Oceanside as serious.
Correct. Yeah, probably not.
So no, I don't know what kind of advice I would give John Willis. 'Cause
what advice would you give your kids?
It's the same thing. Don't settle.
Don't settle.
Don't get cricket love. It's out there. You just have to find it.
Explain that for people that don't know what you're talking about.
Cricket loaf? Oh, cricket loaf is easy. When you're in the back of the train and you get fed something over and over again.
It's cockroaches, right?
Yeah.
Snowpiercer.
You will tend to like what it is you're getting, even if it's not necessarily the best thing.
Because you don't know there's something better.
Yeah, because you don't know there's something better, because you haven't had cake, you haven't had steak,
you were ripping that pull top pudding that wasn't even real pudding. You never saw creme brulee.
So, there's a level to it, and I think we are so hungry. We are so hungry for that companionship and that to have somebody significant other, that we're willing to accept something that is not as good as it could be, right? We're willing to take cricket loaf with some spray cheese on it. So don't settle.
Do you not think that a young man could find a woman and even fall in love with her, right? Because she's the first one, gave her, they had attention for each other, they built something, and maybe she isn't 100% or whatever, but to him, she is, and without outside influence, they would both live very happily.
That may be all that matters, but the truth is, there is somebody out there right now that will make you a better person.
Always.
Will make you a better person, and will have the capability to enrich your life in ways that you just aren't used to. So,
but that can always be said for everyone.
No, it can't.
Because once you get with the right person, you stop having those conversations.
It's like
right?
this.
We can always chase the greener grass.
That's what I thought too. That's what I used to believe too, that it's greener grass, but it's not grass. It's like you understand this because you're old.
No.
You understand this because you're old. It's like driving around in a car with windows that you have to roll down by your hand. It's fucking awesome that you can roll your window down. It's awesome that you can roll your window down. And it's awesome.
Because we've had cars that you couldn't.
Right? It's awesome that you can roll your window down. Get in a fucking car right now where you have to manually roll down the windows. You'll be like, what the fuck? And that's kind of what I'm saying. It's kind of like when you talk about rich people and everybody, there's a level and a tier, a door that gets opened and a light that gets shined in your face. That's the same thing it is with relationships. There's somebody out there that really is perfect for you, that is going to make your life better. The issue is it's hard to find that person. right? It's hard to find that person. And when you do find that person, or sometimes
So what do you think the age is?
we settle.
So what do you think the appropriate age for a man to start looking or to find her is?
I don't think you really should start looking until you're 26, 27.
So it said that women,
That you should. The reality is, I think you should spend your, 18 to 27 years old. You should spend that time building who you want to be and creating the life that you think you want. And I think that person will find you.
so we're pretty similar, both having not done any of that shit.
Right. None of it.
So it's super easy for us to sit here and give that advice, right? It'd be super easy for me to tell my son, Cody, you just go another 5 years by yourself and just, work out and educate. And
Not necessarily. I'm not saying not necessarily by yourself, right? I'm not saying not necessarily by yourself. What I'm saying is you shouldn't be out the gate trying to make that your priority. You have time for that.
but I
you
think
should
a
do
lot
it
of
when
them
you're
get
older.
stuck with it
Yeah, I know.
out of the endorphin release, right? Because it's so easy to have sex now.
Because sometimes cricket loaf is good enough.
Well, it's so easy to have sex, right?
I
So
mean-
they have sex, and they, out of endorphins, they're super happy, and you've gone 6 months, and you realize that you don't know shit about her, or vice versa. But it said that women want security, right? So,
Yes.
so younger women, let's say 20, 25, 30,
Yeah.
they look to an older man because he has already done all of those things, and he is financially stable, and he is typically
Hopefully.
stable in his life. So she is after an older man. The older man can date down, but your woman at 40, 50, what is it that she wants? A 40, 50-year-old. But he has many, many options.
True. More options.
Up and down the scale, right?
But I don't think that that's the issue. I think the issue is finding somebody that is going to be a true companion.
Completes you.
Yeah, that is going to complete you, make you better, make you a better person. And that's just, I know it sounds silly, but
So trad wife,
if that's what you're into,
traditional wife.
I mean, if that's what you're into,
If you could paint your picture, what would it be?
she definitely would spend more time in camis than anything. She's not really a trad wife. I want a girl who can kill a rabbit.
So you want a camping girl.
Yeah, I want a girl who can kill a rabbit. Not necessarily a camping girl, but can you cook and prepare a turkey that you killed that afternoon? By the way, there's 2 huge gobblers on the property right now that just keep coming to the front door.
Well,
so
is
if that's you,
is that because you're putting a fucking pile of corn out there?
I'm not. I know. I was actually thinking about. I'm like, can I get them closer if I just keep putting corn? If I put corn out, I haven't put corn
Are
out.
they shitting on the porch yet?
Not yet.
That's
no.
too close.
Not yet. So
You need like a when they peck at it, goes cuts their head off.
yeah. So again,
Have you seen the turkey hunting videos? You remember Red Mist, the prairie dogs,
oh yeah.
where they're vaporizing them? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Well, there's these turkey hunters, man, and they shoot with bow. And all it is them fucking, the heads of the turkeys just falling off because they shoot so close that the broadhead just removes their fucking heads.
Anyway, so I don't know.
So
Someone who, again, it has to. We're all different, and someone who could compliment me.
how old's too old?
That's kind of a trick question because it is more about what kind of companion the person is for you than anything else.
Because you think about, like, you see old couples whose spouse dies or whatever, and they get a new life mate or husband and wife, whatever, and they seemingly seem very, very happy together. Maybe it's just because they know that they're going to make the best of it because they're so shorter in life.
Yeah,
So
I don't
much-
know the answer. I don't know the answer to any of this. I have done miserably in my choices. So
Were you always miserable? Not in the beginning.
no, but I wasn't. I wasn't. Again, it goes back to cricket loaf. It goes back to cricket loaf, and I know there's going to be some people who are going to hate my guts for this, but it goes back to cricket loaf. I was choosing based off of a need that wasn't making my life better. Like it wasn't. I wasn't.
Were you
at
happy?
no point. Well, I may have been happy that I was eating cricket loaf. You know what I'm saying? It's that if you're starving, cricket loaf sounds like a great thing.
I've taken you to a lot of good restaurants and you did not appreciate them. I do not think you were calibrated to discuss levels of quality of food.
I like my food to be cooked.
I bought you lots of cooked food.
I like my food to be cooked.
I thought you liked chicken teriyaki.
That when those octopus legs are moving around on the table, that's not good.
I even went to places I didn't want to eat so that you could have chicken teriyaki.
What places did? The only time I had chicken teriyaki is when you were eating octopus legs. And
what was your choice?
And it's chicken teriyaki.
Hey, they had
every single day.
They had wagyu.
John used to go to that place every day.
They had wagyu beef, real wagyu beef.
Again,
was it good?
It was good.
See,
but it was like a little piece like this big.
But you got 400 of them.
So, yeah, I'm not qualified. But again, was I happy in the moment?
Would you take a mediocre chick? Would you take Cricket Loaf if she had a machine gun collection?
I don't know how she could be mediocre if she had a machine gun collection, but
what if her nose is crooked?
Okay.
What if she only had one pinky toe?
10 years ago, 100%. 100%. 10 years ago, here's the thing. 10 years ago, Cricket Loaf was acceptable. Like that I'm going to say something that's going to get me in trouble.
With who?
I'm just going to say something that's going to get me in trouble. 10 years ago, a relationship, 10 years ago, my relationship was about just having a relationship. It wasn't about creating a world, right? It wasn't about like at no time was I being challenged to be better.
So what do you think changed?
What do I think changed? I know exactly what changed. I had something better. That's exactly what changed.
Do you think it's age?
No, I don't think it's age.
You don't think it's age?
No, not at all.
Because I didn't care about anything other than what me and mine was doing, and now I think it's age.
No,
it's maturity.
Maybe, but again, maybe age and maturity, but again, there's a difference. Okay, well, I would use example my first ex-wife, Danielle. We had children together. That's it. There was nothing else.
So why were you with her?
We didn't ride a bike. Because that's what you did. She got pregnant. That's what you did.
So you married her because she got pregnant?
Yeah.
How'd you meet her? Because I don't know.
I met her and she was going to school. And
when I met you, you were living in San Onofre?
Was I living in San Onofre? Did I already have the boys by then? Yeah.
Yeah, you had
90. Because that was 93.
Yeah, you had the boys, but you were driving that M151 Jeep hours to come down to my house to hang out.
Yeah.
You drove it so far that it would blow it up. You put like 3 different rim and pinion. Yeah, you had to work on that like 3 different times.
It wasn't that bad.
So you were coming down to do whatever the fuck it was we were doing.
Throwing chem lights in the street, like.
But not even Oceanside, like prior to the shop.
But what I'm saying is, in that relationship, there was no shared commonality, and there was nothing that I was doing in my personal life that she was helping to advance or making it better.
Just good sex?
I don't even know if it was that, really. It's just being married, just having kids.
How'd you meet her?
At a party.
At McCabe's?
Yeah.
No,
it wasn't.
It wasn't fucking McCabe's.
Anyways, but again, that's it.
But she always maintained a job and everything and put into the family, right? For a while.
Kind of. Not really, though. I didn't.
How old were you?
I grew up. I grew up under the shadow of John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. So
do you not think we'd be better off if it was still that way?
Maybe, but when it came to things like that, like she went and worked, I didn't require any of that financial gain. I'm like, you just do what you want to do with that. I can handle this. I can take care of the bills. I can pay the mortgage. I can do that. That's what a man does. And so, again, I'm just saying that, you know.
Do you think that
I believe
relationship would have worked better if she was a housewife?
No, not at all. We there was nothing that was. We were together forever, but there's nothing that. I don't know how to explain it. You know, I was eating cricket loaf. I've been eating cricket loaf for a long time.
Okay, so what about the kids?
What about them? I screwed them up.
Did you?
Yes.
What would you do different if you could do it over?
Be more in their lives.
Do you think they wanted you more in their lives?
I don't know, but
Have you ever had a conversation with them about it?
No.
No, I haven't either.
I would be more in their lives. But
do you consider them?
Do
you consider them to be successful right now?
Yes. Not as successful as they could have been if I had been more in their lives.
What are they doing that you consider to be successful?
Well, they're paying taxes.
I'm with you. Yeah,
they have jobs.
They pay taxes. They haven't been to jail. Yeah. They don't have a drug problem. They're buying properties. Yeah. They're having families.
Unfortunately,
that's pretty successful these days.
Unfortunately, Brad goes to jail every day.
Does he?
Yeah.
Because he works there.
Yeah, because he works there.
He's a jailer?
No, he's a cook.
Okay.
Yeah, sheriff's department.
Okay. So he works. He's a sheriff department deputy.
He's not even a deputy. He's just a cook
who cooks for the jail.
Cooks at the jail.
Does he want to be a police officer or a law enforcement officer?
No, I don't think so.
Is that a good paying job, I take it, working for the county that way?
I think it is, actually.
How old is he?
28. So.
And then your brother is fisherman, boat guy.
No, my brother's a hydraulics engineer.
That's it.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call him a hydraulics engineer anymore. He's close to retirement. He's a manager for one of the biggest hydraulics engineer companies in San Diego.
Older or younger?
8 years older to the day.
8 years older?
Yeah.
So he's like 100.
Yeah, somewhere.
Does he like what he does? You know, I've never met your brother.
I don't know if I don't know if I'm gonna assume I assume he likes it. Yeah, I'm assuming he likes it. Yeah, because he's been doing it forever. He's been doing it since he was 18.
And then I remember hearing about like a big wave surfer.
Yep, that was Jay.
Wrote movies and shit about him.
Yep, that was Jay. Died way too young.
He died.
Yeah, drowned.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, he drowned. Long time ago. Was in somewhere in Europe. Was he in Europe? Yeah, man, I know I should know this. Sorry. But they were doing breath holds. And so going down as far as you can.
Like Philippe Pepin or whatever.
They were doing breath he was at a pier. And they were doing breath holds with the locals. And you know, the team was with them. And then the team was like, "Hey, we're gonna go."
So he was riding a sled.
No, they were just going down as far as they could and then coming back up. And so the team was like, "Hey, we're gonna go back to," because it was all surfing team. And they're like, "We're gonna go back and get cleaned up before we go eat." And Jay's like, "I'm gonna do a couple more." And then when they were getting ready to go leave, they're like, "Where the fuck is Jay?" And he had drowned.
And he was in the bottom.
Yeah, he drowned.
That's some wild shit.
Yep, sure.
So do you remember when Dwayne wanted to be, like, he was all in that world, or knew guys that were, right? And they were taking sleds down and shit. Yeah. And then the world record breath hold guy, he passed away, but his daughter broke that record. I was talking about that on live months ago, and dudes are like, yeah, the current world breath hold is like 20 minutes. I'm like, no fucking way. Like, brain damage is 4 minutes. And I'm like, bullshit. And dudes were like, look up current record breath hold. Dude, it is not fucking even on the realm of what we thought it would be.
Well, it's because when they're doing those breath holds and they're going down, it's the constriction of the water
at depth.
24 minutes and 37 seconds.
At what depth though?
It doesn't say.
Like, dudes are talking about breath hold work and shit on land at like 3 minutes and shit. Like, dude, try to hold your breath for a minute. See, like, you're gonna die.
No, that's the interesting thing about holding your breath. You can't hold your breath and kill yourself.
Because of the vagus nerve. It's just, you can't do it.
You just can't hold your breath and kill yourself. Even if you can hold your breath to the point where you pass out, The minute you pass out, you'll start breathing.
Have you ever done any breath work? Or do you know what breath work is?
Yeah,
Box breathing and Wim
Yeah, I
Hof
don't
and
do
all
any
that.
of that shit.
What if it changed you?
To what?
What if it made you happier? What if you started doing it? What if you did it for 7 days and all of a sudden things just fucking got easier? Wealth came, happiness came, fucking things just changed.
Well, now you're talking about magic, and magic isn't real, John.
But what if it worked? What if you're left-handed?
Yeah.
You brush your teeth left-handed?
Of course.
What if you woke up in the morning and brushed your teeth for 5, let's just say 7 days, 10 days. You brush your teeth with your right hand instead of your left.
Okay.
You tell yourself 12 times in the mirror, I love you, I love you, I love you. And you took 30 breaths every morning, as deep as you can, inhaled and exhaled as far as you can. What if fucking things just started to change? Just over that, would you continue to do it?
Well, I mean, if it was, if it could possibly work, but it wouldn't work.
But if it did, would you continue to do it?
Well, yeah, why not?
But what do you have to lose by not doing it?
Because I know what's going to happen.
You're going to try it.
No, I'm not.
You are. You have to.
Why?
Because I just fucking challenge. Because you're going to
So
do
I'm
it
gonna
whether
do-
you tell me. You're going to come in here, and if I ask you, you're going to tell me you didn't do it.
No. You want me to do it? I'll do it. It's not going to change anything.
Okay.
It's not going to. It won't change anything.
What if it's just as simply as oxygenating yourself more?
I could do that in Las Vegas. They have those booths all over the place.
It doesn't change through your alveoli. It doesn't really work. It's a very temporary feeling. It's just like they have these cans of pure oxygen, and you breathe them through a faceplate.
Yeah.
But when the what's the breath specialist guy called? The doctor dude. When they actually measure the saturation, it doesn't fucking do shit hardly. It's very, very minuscule. The $5,000 machine works a little bit better under cardio. But the real one is the hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, unless Elon says it'll work, I don't believe it.
Well, Elon sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber.
There's no way he does. He's a weirdo. What were you're looking up? You were going to tell us something.
That guy that held his breath for 25 minutes almost,
Died?
he was in a normal tank. It wasn't deep diver.
So, but he was in a
he was
tank.
in a
So
pressurized
what?
tank. Yeah,
How many atmospheres was he at? What was the bar?
because that's how they're doing it. Is they're restricting the.
They're cheating.
They're
cheating motherfuckers.
They're not cheating because motherfucker get down to you don't want to be 100 feet under the water and you've at your 24 mark.
If you
got to get back up.
Go into a 15-foot swimming pool and try to touch the bottom like
It was just a swimming pool.
swimming pool. Interesting.
Yeah, so he needs some real grass to run his
For
toes
grounding?
through.
But if we put a box of real grass in here, it's not going to ground. It has to touch the earth. Just
Well,
run some copper wires.
Put some earth in it
What if we just put a copper plate and then plugged it in, drilled a hole through the floor, and plugged it
and
into the ground?
electrocuted him.
He would function if EMP came because he's grounded.
Yeah.
Could
The only one that would function.
Could we not take like this building, for
Yes,
instance, right?
this building. We could ground it 100%.
Well, it is ground. Fuck, I hope it's grounded.
Probably not. It's on a 30-degree tilt. How could it be grounded?
Could we wrap this whole thing in copper wire all the way around everything, and then it would be a Faraday cage?
Well, no, it would be a fucking magnet for lightning strikes. Is what it would be.
Not if it's grounded.
It would be a magnet. No, all ground means is that when the lightning hits, it goes into the ground. That's all it means. So
Yeah,
you would.
so it doesn't touch anything in here. It goes to the ground.
Well, yeah, but it would still be.
Would it have
a
to have
giant-
no power in here for it to be? No, that doesn't. We just EMP shield it.
Yeah, you can EMP shield it. There you go.
EMPshield.com, code SOE for $50 off your order.
Right there.
Right
EMP
there.
shield it.
You got one on your truck yet?
No, because
I'll put it on.
You said old boy was going to be here and he was going to put it on the trucks. He never showed up.
Who was that?
Whoever does the EMP shields.
Well, I get guys to completely work outside of their industries.
Yeah, I don't want that. Not on that.
Like Jaeger, like he came in and made all my tables. Because
Well,
he's
I believe
not
that,
a
though.
construction guy.
I believe that.
That's
That
what
he-
Sherman House. He's like, yeah, he's a pretty good wood butcher.
I believe that he made the tables because he would have made tables before.
Why?
Because range stuff. You always got to make a range table.
Range table. What's your range table look like?
I don't have one yet.
What's your range table? Is it just to
Picnic
use as
bench.
like a table, or are we going to lay on the table?
We're gonna lay on the table. Picnic bench.
How high up in the air?
Well, if we can ever find somebody that can do a porch, you're gonna be 10 feet in the air
Why only 10?
because that's what we have.
These phone poles are 30s.
Well, I don't have foam poles. You just told me about foam poles today. Right now, I've got 2 Connex boxes that I wanted a huge porch put on so I can shoot off of them.
How high are the Connex boxes?
8
in the
foot.
Air? 8 foot in the air?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to be on the roof of them?
Yeah.
Oh, you bought the little ones. I thought all shipping containers are 9.5 feet.
Maybe
tall
it is
now.
9.5 feet. I don't know.
Surely you got the high boxes.
It's probably 9.5 feet. You're probably right.
Why don't we put the shipping containers on phone poles up in the air?
Do we have a guy that has a machine that can do that? Well, if you're gonna put the shipping containers on the phone poles, you might as well just stack another shipping container on top.
I like it. How many you got?
I got 2 out there right now.
So you need like 8 more.
I mean, if you want to go that high.
Well, that way you could do cartwheels and shit and get your heart rate up before you lay down to shoot prone.
Well, if you stack them right,
Parkour.
right, you could parkour up to wherever you're going to shoot at.
Brandel's been doing lots of parkour.
I mean, that would be kind of cool. I mean, look at him. He's a specimen. Of course he's
It does
doing
look
parkour.
like parkour.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You getting some tattoos at the SOE party?
Do you do parkour? Never mind. Am I going to get tattoos at the SOE party? I don't know. Maybe some doves on my lower back.
On your tramp stamp?
Maybe a flower on my wrist.
What kind of flower would it be? Venus flytrap.
Something yellow.
Why yellow?
I don't know. That's just what I envision.
A tulip.
Maybe.
Daffodils.
Could be.
Because deer hate daffodils.
How about mustard plant?
Mustard plant.
For my California heritage.
Why?
Because mustard weed grows all over California.
It's fucking growing everywhere around here.
It is for some reason this year is pretty.
It's
everywhere.
Yeah, I try to chop it down before it goes to seed. What do they make mustard gas? They don't make mustard gas from mustard, right? What's mustard gas come from?
Some chemical compound. I don't know.
And it like melts rubber, right? Isn't that the deal? It would melt gas masks.
No, they put chlorine is the first gas they used. Then mustard gas was the second gas they used. Mustard gas in itself, you can wear a gas mask in mustard gas. It's later on when we became more heinous where we introduced other chemicals that eat the filters inside the gas mask.
Did we do that or did they do that?
It's kind of like mutual sure destruction. Everybody does it.
Both sides were in a lab together.
But yeah, they probably use the same lab.
They were all. It's funny when we're all at war together. Everybody's fine in the Arctic.
Yeah, it's they were all using the same lab in Wuhan, but yeah, they add a chemical in there to destroy the filters in the gas mask.
What do you think they'll use against us
here
in the United States?
It'll be another.
Some shit we ain't heard of.
No, it'll be something we've heard of. It'll be bird flu, or it'll be one of the
newer Wuhan.
It'll be COVID-19 and a half. They've already
telegraphing.
Every day they're fucking experimenting on that. Every day they're doing what they can to turn it into a weapon. So it'll be COVID 2.5.
They traveled apparently. Somebody traveled on commercial airlines and had like Marburg just in their checked baggage and shit. Just normal, every day, chilling.
Well, we used to have a the people that controlled the world, right? The real people that controlled the world, they used to actually care about the world, and they used to actually care about people. Believe it or not, they did. Fucking Adolf Hitler had tons of fucking chemical weapons that he never used. Why? Because chemical weapons got used on him in the First World War, and he was like, that's the most heinous shit in the world. We're never going to use it. And so they never did. So you had, not saying that he cared about people, but relative terms.
Do you think he was pushed? Do you think he was pushed into the position? Do you think he started that way?
He was pushed into the position.
Because of the Treaty of Versailles and all that?
Well, no, I mean, what I'm saying is he was the guy that was saying the things that the people in the background, kind of like the permanent government that's here, that he was saying the things that they wanted said, and so they just put him in power. It's no different than Stalin. Like when the Germans broke the treaty and attacked Russia, and the KV-9 or I can't think of the secret police they had at the time. When they came and woke Stalin up, the first thing he said was, "Are you guys going to kill me?" He wasn't running the fucking show. Well, I mean, he was doing a lot of it, but the fucking secret police were the ones who were actually making sure that Stalin stayed in power.
Did they kill him?
Who? Stalin? No, he had a heart attack and died because he was a party animal. Fucking Stalin was a party animal.
I think everybody we talk through history was. You look at Sigmund Freud and like any of the Da Vinci, Einstein, they were all said to be drug addicts.
Well, he was a hardcore alcoholic that made his guys stay up until the wee hours of the morning every fucking night watching old movies and listening to records. He was a party animal.
Do you think that didn't...
But again, we'll go back to the thing.
Do you think that made them stronger, more tight-knit?
No.
No.
They were all trying to figure out how to kill each other. But to go back to your thing, there used to be people that held the power of the world in their hands that cared about the world and cared about people.
Do you think they did, or do you think we just had that perception because we were young?
No, because they did a lot of things that kept the world from ending. Where you have people in power now who don't care about people. Like, they don't. And so, you know, there are people in power right now that if given the key, you know, to the monkey virus, would release the monkey virus on people. Even
though it would make it back to them and their families?
That's the narcissism. They do not believe that it would make it back into their families. It's kind of like something that Sonny talked about this weekend. The guy, you know, I buy body armor, I buy a gun. When the world ends, I'm going to rise to the occasion, right? I don't need to do anything. All I need is the gun and the bullets, and I'm going to rise to the occasion. That never happens. It's the same thing when sociopaths say they're going to fucking release a virus on the world and their family's going to be fine. That never happens. So it's that we always think it's going to happen to somebody else. That's what really keeps us alive, is we think it's somebody else that's going to happen to. It's not me.
So why do you think it hasn't happened? Somebody's just really good at stopping it?
No, it's just the domino is not set up yet for that to happen.
How close is it, you think?
I think we're close, man. I think you know, again, I know apocalyptic, I know the moon or the shadow of the earth just changed everything, and CERN is going to create black holes, but there is nothing more important or more dangerous for our future than the next election. You have a group of people who...
What are we down to? 7 months?
I don't know what we're down to. But you have a group of people that are willing to do anything to hold power. And, I mean, the reality is the tactics and techniques that the Democratic Party, the DNC, is using right now is no different than the Nazis in fucking 1937. They are exactly the fucking same. Play for play, really. Like, you could literally get a newspaper from 37 and go, holy shit, the Democrats just said that. It's play for play.
It's pretty wild because they call us Nazis.
Well, that's part of it, right? You have to demonize the other side in order to create the hate necessary to create the violence. Okay? No different than what was going on in Germany in fucking 37 or 35.
You think some guys sat around in a room and said, hey, these are the things we're going to do. The trans movement, distraction. Call them Nazis, distraction. Flood the border, distraction.
I am sure that
this is a plan.
That there are people within the DNC that are like, this is the way.
Have you seen they got another dude.
And then this is the way. And then what they're really doing is they're manipulating those groups. It's not like the gay and lesbian organizations are like, down with America, let's burn it to the ground. They're not. That's not their goal any more than it's anybody else's goal. The elites are using political power to manipulate those organizations in order to... That's why... How does the trans community have a day of vengeance in Nashville? I know it was canceled, but who's sitting around a table going, day of vengeance? That sounds like a really good idea.
Is that the shooter that showed up? Is that what that was? Or is that after that?
That was to celebrate the shooter.
Did you see...
it's
always gay dudes. Did you see another gay dude showed up for a meeting with a undercover reporter? He's like, yeah, sometimes you got to give him a nudge. We went after Alex Jones. What were you after? Oh, we wanted to bankrupt him. Like, Alex Jones just filed a fucking massive lawsuit against the Federal Bureau of Investigation today. And I think it's one of those, what's that news organization that his board of trustees voted him off, and he's now started another one. I can't remember. He was doing all this undercover work and just busting out. But these guys always sit down. Somebody sent that to me. I go, what do you think that sexual orientation is? And they said, oh, he's definitely gay. I go, why is it always gay dudes? And she said, because they're so thirsty. They're just fucking. It's always them. It's always a gay dude who is on that expose with that hidden camera. Like, you have to know you're being fucking set up, and they just fucking go along with it anyways.
I think the real question is,
why are all these gay guys FBI agents?
No, not that. Not that is if. So if you're talking about a gay guy,
I'm talking about multiple.
Right, but you're talking about a gay guy, and I'm going to assume that whoever he's talking to
is pretending to be.
Is either pretending to be, or,
effeminate, maybe, or maybe is.
There's a possibility that this is going to happen. So, I would say this, not defending any of these people and anything they've said, but what's to say that these individuals doing the interview are not saying whatever they think the person wants to hear in order to get him in bed, right? It's no different than us going to the airport, putting tuxedos on, and pretending we're getting off of airplanes. Why? How do you know that these guys aren't just like, okay, my thirst trap keeps talking about these goddamn conspiracies. Let me think of the craziest shit I can get this dude in bed.
Okay,
right?
back up.
So how do you
back
know?
up a
How do you know
second.
they're not doing that?
When were you at an airport with a tuxedo on?
I've never been to an airport with a tuxedo.
Let's flesh that out a little bit. What's that look like?
What
would the purpose be?
It would have to be an old tuxedo, something with ruffles, and a big bow tie.
But what's the purpose?
What's the purpose? In order to manipulate people into thinking that I just got off a fucking a tour with Wild Stallion.
Who's Wild Stallion?
You don't know who Wild Stallion is?
Do you know who Wild Stallion is?
Wild Stallion saves the world.
Randall?
Wild Stallion saved the world.
Is it a movie?
Bill and Ted?
What? Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Yeah. Their band is Wild Stallion.
Got it.
Anyways. I'm just saying, what would you do? I mean, what would you do to convince somebody to go to bed with you? You could say all kinds of crazy shit. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Sky says if you want to pick chicks up, you just go down to the homeless encampment and stand by the community showers.
Man.
I told him, I go, dude, that is a perfect YouTube channel waiting to happen. He's like, I go, so what do you like? Take them, you offer them a room in your house? He's like, no, you just tell them they can camp in your front yard. Were you not there for this conversation?
I missed
Who the fuck did I
camp in the front yard?
I'm like,
I would think you would just offer them a hot shower.
He said, he goes, well, they have the hot shower.
Oh.
You just offer them a burrito.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you're looking for,
that sounds like a YouTube channel, like perfect YouTube channel.
That's an example of cricket loaf that somebody threw out the back window on the train. Like that cricket loaf is sitting in the sun.
Maybe she's just misunderstood.
No, there's a reason why she's at the homeless encampment.
You don't think you could just take her and get some veneers put on and get a haircut?
No, you could. You can.
Would she be fun?
You can, but I'm sure that crazy is there forever.
Do you think she started crazy, or do you think it's drugs, or do you think just being around crazy? They said a lot of people that went to asylums were not crazy; they became crazy.
Unfortunately, it's probably a lot of drugs. That's usually the reason why.
I think we should be doing man on the street interviews.
Okay, where are we going to do them at? I think we should do our first interview across the street at the used car lot. I
say Walmart, man, during business hours.
You sure you don't want to go to the used car lot?
No, he's too close. Like that, I don't want to. Number one, if he's crazy, I don't want to. We couldn't use the material because he's close. I can't put him on, and he might be super cool.
Why? That guy will never see it.
Oh, everybody's got a fucking the internet.
That guy will never see it.
Somebody will take it to him and show it to him.
Maybe.
Have you met him?
No, he's got a Jeep out there for sale. I thought about pulling over and seeing what he wants for it.
It looks like he's pretty hard working. I mean, he's always doing something.
Yeah.
Where do you think the cars are coming from?
I don't know.
You don't want a short wheel. You don't want a CJ6.
A junkyard, I'm sure.
I think that's just where they break down at.
Maybe.
It's like the Bermuda Triangle.
It could be. Because he's always got cars there.
Well, I mean, if you break down coming through the bottoms there's no shoulder, right? They have to push, pull, or tow that motherfucker somewhere, and that's the first place. I think they just get left there. He cleans them up and sells them.
That's not the same guy though, right?
No,
it's a new
Tell
guy?
him about the first guy. So there's a lot. It used to be like a restaurant or a steel building over there, and about every 5-10 years, somebody, county, state, somebody goes through and tears down these abandoned buildings. They like eminent domain the area or something. But for some reason, there is a lot across the street that is just vacant. And originally there was like,
there's a tiny house there.
There was
there
was an old home,
yeah.
And then there was a trailer. Like we saw the place like blazing, on fire, flames coming out. Fire truck pulls up with like fire hose on the truck and shoots this place and puts the fire out, and people continue to live in the building. 3 times.
He had a single wide trailer over there. He had a single wide trailer over there, so 40
took it all apart with a can opener.
And that motherfucker went through it like a termite. Like I was actually cool coming into work, because you come into work and every day there would be like the roof would be collapsed a little bit more and the front section would be missing, and like you could see the nanites that were on it just eating it away. Like you could see it happening right before your eyes. He took that thing down to the frame. And well, he must have chopped up the frame too, because
I remember somebody came and got the frame, and they were when they drove away with it, there was no wheels on it. They drove down the road with the frame with no tires.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
I wonder what he was getting per day on that, because he was taking it and recycling it probably.
Well, yeah, that's why.
I wonder what the payoff was.
Always smelled burning trash. The payoff. The truth is, the payoff would never be worth the.
I bet it wouldn't.
The work.
Wouldn't buy a beer.
No, I mean there's a shit ton of copper in those things, right? There's a shit ton of copper. All the siding is aluminum, so that's recyclable. But again, the amount of work, like if that guy,
he never paid himself minimum wage.
Yeah, he never paid himself. He was getting like, it was like one of those. It was like one of those commercials you see on late night TV. For $1.25 a day, you can keep this crackhead out of the woods, because that's all he had to have been making. But
we met a guy this weekend, and he has a communication company or something, right? Does computer stuff. And I think he said he's been in business for a long time, like decades, employs 20 people, and he's had some offers to buy the company. So, but he's well invested his money, right? I think he has millions of dollars. And he was talking about they had just gone overseas and to some village, and I think it's Central America, right? And they met through a church organization, religious organization or something, and they are sponsoring a child. So they're paying whatever for this child, and the money goes to this child. And I go, the kid doesn't get that money, right? Like you realize this makes you feel good.
But yeah, he doesn't get any of it.
But that little girl that you're talking about probably gets nothing. He's like, no, they send us pictures. And I go, yeah, they used to do that with dogs and cats and Ethiopia, and none of that money went to those places. But he felt good about it, and he feels that this is what he's supposed to do. And I said, why don't you just adopt a child? Like, why don't you like physically change a kid's life? And he's older. I think he's 60 something, but we did have some pretty deep conversations, him and Justin and I, and a couple of, and he kept saying, he goes, I don't know why I'm telling you guys this. And I go, I don't know why you're telling either, but I'm interested in what you're saying. And we just stood and listened and talked a little bit, but it's just always funny. And I don't mean this in a negative way, man, whatever he needs to do, but it's always odd when we put money in a place and then it makes us feel good, but we don't actually have to physically do anything. I remember when we were in because my father was a Baptist preacher, so we were at church quite a bit. And I remember they had like these little loaves of bread that were piggy banks, and you'd put your quarters and shit in there, and they'd get filled up, and all the kids would bring them in, and they would donate the money, and they'd go build wells somewhere, right? And every now and then, some people from the church would go on a mission trip, and they'd build these wells. Why didn't we ever do that shit at home? Like where you could physically see what your money actually did, right? Nobody ever does that. They didn't want to. It wasn't like Habitat for Humanity where you go out and you physically build something and you know that a family is going to move in this thing.
Because it's harder here.
Because it's harder here. Is that why we do it abroad?
It's harder here. That's why we do it abroad. When you go abroad, you just have to show up with some teenagers and some money. And then they'll be like, you're going to dig a well? All right. But I want you to think about this. Just think about this. For well over 500 years, well over 500 years, John, Europeans have been going to Africa and digging wells. There should be a goddamn freshwater well in every house in Africa. It's not happening.
Why?
Because it's
bullshit.
It's bullshit.
So where's the money going? Is that what it's really about?
Well, you think about, even just take a look at like the Red Cross. The money gets eeten up in administration.
Yeah, less than 10% passes to the victims.
Let's just look at people who mean well, who really mean well, where the church is sending a group of people over there to do a mission. It costs money to put motherfuckers on planes, right? So most of that money's getting eaten up just in transportation costs, and then they get there. They're not eating crickets. You got to feed them. That now money's getting eaten up in that. So you send these kids over there for 6 months. They dig one well, they baptize like 5 people, and then they go home. And then the village gets burnt to the ground, and people start taking shits in the well. And then the next group comes over. I mean, you think about it. Again, for over 500 years, well-meaning Europeans have been going over there. You know, a lot of terrible Europeans too, by the way, have been going over there and building wells. Where the fuck where's all these wells at? You would think they'd be stacked up on top of each other, but they're not, because the people who live there don't give a shit about what well-meaning Europeans are well-meaning Europeans are doing. I'll give you an example. Between the hospital and the UN compound in Mogadishu, there was a well. The well had nothing around it. It was just a hole in the ground. And every day, Somali women would line up with their little jugs, and they would throw a string down there, pull their jug up of water, and walk away. Every day they would do that.
They put it on their head kind of thing?
No, they carried them like normal people.
So it wasn't like 2 clay pots on a...
No, it was like an old syrup bottle.
Where'd they get those?
Mogadishu was a thriving metropolitan city when Europeans ran it. It wasn't until we gave it up that it got turned into a fucking shithole.
Savages have to be ruled by an iron fist.
I mean, cradle of the universe, and yet nothing comes from it.
Do you think they were happier during those times, or do you think they were?
No. I'm sure that the Somalis were not happier when the French were running.
Were they
Somalia.
slaves?
I'm sure that the French treated them that way.
Do you think their life was better then or now?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Even though they hated it.
It was definitely better. I mean, and I'm going to give you an example. You have this major, technically Somalia was a major metropolitan city. It was like the French Riviera, really.
Yeah,
it was really, the place was really
so
nice.
Was Iran at one time.
And so you have this mud hole. I mean, it was probably, if I remember right, it was 250 yards from the UN compound to the hospital wall. This well, if you could call it that, was in the center of this fucking mud hole. By the way,
is this the one Germans made or something?
No, it was just a hole in the ground. Same area where they buried all the dead bodies from the hospital. And when it would rain, everything would wash into the well. And so the Germans there, you know, they're like, that's a shitty way to live. You know what we should do? We should make a real well. You know, like you see on Walt Disney with the handle, and you bring the bucket up and everybody gets fresh water, right? Little House on the Prairie. So the Germans do a big, because again, it's Mogadishu, so it's a threat environment. So they make a big production out of it, you know? It's not just engineers that have to go out there, but you have to have security detail, and it's a fucking big deal. And so they basically cap this thing off. They put a wall all the way around it so all the runoff can't go into the well, and they put the thing on there to fucking bring the water up. And so we're on K7, which is the highest building in Mogadishu at the time, which was 8-story, and you can look at the well. Right?
Did they ask for your Overwatch?
No, they didn't ask for our Overwatch. I mean, I'm sure they knew we were up there anyways. And so they build this Little House on the Prairie well. And it's a fucking nice well. And they pull their security. They leave. Couple people go over, get some water, and then we watch. We probably should have shot the guy, but and so now we watch this dude walk from the street out to the well, drops his fucking pants, uses the wall to sit on, and takes a shit right in the well.
Just to be an asshole, you think, or because that's what he does?
I think that's just what he does. And then pull his pants up and fucking walk away.
Would there have been repercussion if you'd have smoked him?
Oh yeah, we'd have gotten fucking serious trouble if we'd have smoked him.
Like just chewed out, or like a little bit yelled at?
Hindsight's 20/20. Like hindsight's 20/20. Maybe we would have just got yelled at. I don't know if we would have. I don't know if it would have been one of those things where they would have been like, "We're going to put you up on charges" or anything. Because when General Montgomery came up to our post, he was a 3-star that was in charge of U.S. forces at the time. He wanted to know why we hadn't shot more people. That's just his answer. He was like, "Why haven't you shot more people?" And we're like, "Rules of engagement, sir. You know." So maybe we could have got away with it, because every time we did kind of bend the rules a little bit, and every time we did something like that, the UN would be like, the UN
would go out and pay the family.
Well, no, the UN would be upset. Like the UN would be like, "You can't do that, blah blah blah." But then when it got into the military,
when they were yelling, when the UN guys were yelling at you, was it a Frenchman, or who was their mouthpiece?
Well, at the time, Boutros Ghali was the UN Secretary General.
He African?
Was he? I don't know where he's from.
Who was he yelling at? Not you. You
no,
never
but
heard
I
him
mean
angry.
that again. You have UN bureaucrats, right? And the UN, we never talked to a UN bureaucrat. The UN bureaucrats would yell at the military liaison guys, and then the military liaison guys would call, because every time you had an engagement in Somalia, you had to go into what was the old embassy, which was the basically the where all the where all the bigwigs were now.
Was it nice, or was it bombed out?
I mean, it was a nice building, but it wasn't anything special.
Not marble and gold or anything.
It was definitely marble. So we would go in there and would have to debrief with was he a captain? I think he was a captain from New Zealand. So every time you had an engagement, you'd have to go debrief, because then they would have to report it up to the UN on why we shot somebody or anything like that. And so the UN, it didn't matter what anybody was doing. Like, for example, the Somalis could be firing RPGs at the UN compound, and if we shoot that RPG gunner, the UN guys would be like, "Oh, I can't believe you killed a fucking Somali," because they're there to kiss babies and hold hands and wave the fucking UN flag like the UN does anything. And so they would chew down. So they would yell at the military liaison guys, which are usually foreign military officers. Like there was no U.S. representation in there that we ever dealt with.
Did it typically lose momentum as it came downhill?
Yeah, as a New Zealand guy would always be like, "Just tell me what you did. Sounds good." Like he would tell us that they were mad as hell. He'd be like, "Yeah, fucking mad as hell. They're running around yelling at everybody and shit." But then when it got to, because again, I don't want to say that we were. I don't want to say that we were perfect, but every engagement that we had, not just off of K7, but at the embassy too, they were all legit, above board, within the rules of engagement. Like nobody was doing anything crazy. The only people who were doing crazy shit was the SEALs when the SEALs showed up. They did some crazy shit.
Well, you have any examples of crazy shit the SEALs did?
Well,
they seem to be eating their own right now. A lot of these guys on interviews.
That's a crazy thing I don't understand. You guys are part of an elite organization that really that is still one of the only organizations that still really smoke checks their guys. Like you gotta be the guy to get through buds, right? They're still smoke checking their dudes. It's not. I mean, I don't know 100%, but I'm just under the impression that that Bud's is the same as it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
I don't think it is.
Well, either way, it's an elite organization. Why?
Well,
Why would you eat? Why would
my
you?
suspicion is that there's a book written, so they're on the tour. So to get the eyeballs to the podcast, to where they say, "Hey, buy my book," that would be my suspicion.
But the problem with that is, there's always been with SEALs. There's always been a book, a workout tape, a fucking video. There's always been that, and they never went after him like they go after him now. I don't know if it's just
it's each other. They didn't because they didn't have to, because most of them weren't doing it.
Well, I don't know if it's just the norm for social media.
And maybe it's because you have. I mean, what's the career there? We know dudes that have done 6 years. We know guys that have done 20 years. I mean,
Right.
we know guys that were command master chief at different areas there. We know guys that
But
were.
I would still think.
I think it's just that 20-year.
I mean, I would still
That
think
wave took 20 years to get there.
if you were a 4-year, I mean, I don't know. I guess arrogance and ego is always the thing. If you're a 4-year SEAL versus a 20-year SEAL, you guys are still SEALs.
We have a lot of guys coming out right now going, "Hey, all these stories, that's not what happened."
Well, that is true.
That's what I'm talking about.
That is true. But again, I have to emphasize. I mean, I don't want to emphasize because I do know that some of the stuff that has come out is definitely not true, but a lot of it's perspective. Right? It's perspective.
I'm sure there's a little embellishment and fiction in there too to get the book to sell.
But again, it's perspective. What is the perspective? If you get 10 guys, the reality is.
I mean,
we'll use the Bin Laden rate.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Right now.
We'll use the Bin Laden rate. If you were to get every one of those SEALs together, and then separated them, and then said, "Tell the story
On target,
on target,"
as it happened.
they're all going to have a different story.
Well, our story, right? I tell my story, and then you tell yours, and that sparks something, right, that I remember. And then if we add a third into there,
Yeah.
that me giving a 90-minute story becomes 6 hours with you, and we just add a second dude that wasn't even highly involved in our story.
Yeah.
But that turns it into a 24-hour story just because have forgotten things.
Yeah.
I know the meat and potatoes.
Like that happens with since a certain Kubota individual has been watching these videos.
Chris?
Yeah,
Not Jack?
Chris. Does Jack have a Kubota? Oh, I guess he does.
Yeah, I have a Kubota because Jack has a Kubota.
Okay. Anyways, but because he's been watching these videos, he'll be like, "You didn't mention this. You didn't mention," like because again, he lived a completely, even though we were side by side together, he lived a completely different experience than I did. And so he's telling me shit, and I'm like, holy fuck, I forgot we had a goddamn weasel. I forgot all that shit. Right? And so he has a different perspective, and we were partners the whole time.
What's a weasel?
You know the thing that has 4 legs that runs around?
Where'd you get it?
I don't know where we got it.
You had a ferret with you?
Yeah.
Where?
In Mogadishu. Pet ferret.
A pet ferret. Was it a wild one, or did they keep pets there?
No, it was a wild one that we tamed and kept the entire time we were there.
Did you bring it home?
No, we didn't bring it home. We probably Chris.
What, do you let it go?
Chris, we could have brought that thing home. I'm sure we could have made it, brought it home. No, I don't remember what we did with it in the end. Again, because it's perspective.
Dude,
I
they
wasn't
chew the
thinking about
shit out of all your stuff. Would you keep it in
He
an
was-
Alice pack or something?
No, he was cool. He would just run around, and you give him a little cracker and shit, and he'd be fine. I mean, I'm sure it would have been a nightmare keeping him on the boat. But I bet we could have.
You would have ate some wires or something.
We probably could have talked the Force Recon guys into letting us cage it up and keep it in their secure
in their quad cons.
In their quad con, because they would have thought it was cool. Maybe. So you never know.
You think any of those war dogs came back? Those puppies everybody saw video and shit of in Iraq and stuff, all the puppies and shit. There's always stuff about the pup. Did you think any of those came home?
I mean, I've heard stories of people getting them home, but I don't know if it's true.
Why do you think all the dogs in Tijuana only have 3 legs?
Because they're meat on a stick.
You think they hack a leg off and just let the dog live? They wouldn't cut all 4 off?
I don't know why they only have 3 legs.
So
Tijuana's dangerous, man.
I have that perspective that Tijuana is very dangerous now. I mean, it was probably dangerous for us when we went there, but we were just oblivious to it?
I don't think so. I think the Tijuana, like the Tijuana that we went to, like the Tijuana that most people go to, was a protected, was kind of a protected place.
Looking back at Tijuana, I've been in some prisons that are very much like Tijuana.
I've been in some prisons that are better than Tijuana.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Way better than Tijuana.
But like, I do wish that I had bought the Cobra boots.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I'd have bought the holsters, the dual holsters that they sold in every corner with the Cobra boots, the leather holster setup.
How tall would your Cobras be? Up to your knee. You got to have them at least to your kneecaps.
I don't know how easy that would be to walk though.
I don't think you're doing a lot of walking
in Cobra boots.
In Cobra boots.
I've seen those boys walk. I've seen them dance in the Cobra boots.
They can dance. I'd like to, like, if somebody wrote my book, right?
Yeah.
And then I read it. Obviously, it would be a lot different than if I had wrote it, which I'm never going to do. And then if I wrote a book, you'd be like, "Hey, you forgot this thing and this thing," and
yeah, it would be interesting to have a book that was like written from the perspective of 20 other people.
I wonder how long it would take if we got all of us together and they were going to write a book about all our stuff. And then they would write the book. I wonder how much would get cut out of the book. It would have to, because it'd be fucking volume. It'd be a set of encyclopedias.
The things that would get cut out of the book, the problem is there would be things that would get cut out of the book where the producers would be like, yeah, that doesn't even sound real. We can't show that on film. It doesn't even sound real.
Yeah. It's weird.
It happens with me all the time. Like, I will tell.
I read some comments on some shorts that came up last night with you in them, and it's a trip where, like, dudes have no fucking idea.
Yeah,
like, no idea. Like, how fucking mundane must their lives be?
I was at I was guest speaker at the Advanced Sniper course.
Was Mulhaney there?
No.
Afterwards?
This is afterwards. But at Quantico. And so I'm a guest speaker there, and I say my shit at the end, and they have like a little social afterwards, and we're all talking, and guys are asking me questions about, the old days and shit, and I'm telling them about SOTG and shit, and my boy comes out of the back, and he's like, the instructors all think you're full of shit. They're like, yeah, you're just telling stories. You guys never did any of that shit. I'm like, bro, I know that the Marine Corps has gotten soft, but
there has to be video of it, right?
Oh, fucking I got video, pictures. I mean, that's.
But
I mean,
even they had to have had like an actual videographer there when these things were happening, right? I mean, look at.
That was the fucking 90s, bro. It was hard. Like,
but I don't mean a dude with a cell phone. I would think that those VIPs and shit would have like a combat photographer or somebody there.
I don't know if they could.
Because it was top secret stuff. It was secret
still,
shit.
It was the tactics were still considered. The tactics would have still been considered not classified, but secret probably at that time. Because I remember me getting a camera. Just me getting a camera to go out and take photos of the target sites and shit was a big deal. So, yeah, if you don't, that's one of those things. If you don't believe me, too bad. I got the pictures. I do have some videos.
Dude, I was there for 3 of them.
Yeah.
When the helicopters came in and the rider trucks and shit.
Yeah. The Marine Corps used to do really cool shit. They do cool shit now, but it's just.
They had a little bleacher, like some aluminum bleachers we were sitting in, and there was like congressmen and governors and all kinds of fucking metal salads and shit. I don't know who half them dudes were when we were there, but like, I can't imagine what the neighbors thought when that shit was happening. I mean, it wasn't like, it was a lot of helicopters. Like, it was fucking nuts.
I mean, they used just for the RNS package, just the RNS package alone. It was the 305 bus out of Horno to the Oceanside train station.
Baseball team.
Oceanside train station to downtown San Diego. Get on the trolley, take the trolley into the trolley station, and go up to the top of the trolley station and set up a sniper position. And that was 8 guys, because you had to have radios and all that shit. So civilian clothes. And I know for the RNS package, it was a little bit different once we were doing interoperability where everybody was together.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual final mission.
Yeah, final missions. It was a little bit
where
different.
Where it was assaulters and everyone.
When it was interoperability, because Mike Roof, Special Agent Mike Roof for the FBI, he would have to make liaison with all the local law enforcement agencies and shit. But I know when Vanderhoof and Gunny, you may remember this wrong, or you may remember this right. I may be remembering this wrong, but I don't believe we did any liaison with local law enforcement when we were ratlining those guys into San Diego, except San Diego. Like San Diego PD knew we were there because we were going up into that building,
Right.
But
and you're coming through Cardiff, Encinitas,
did
Arcadia, La
Oceanside,
Costa.
did Oceanside know? I doubt that anybody even knew we were doing that shit.
You
And
guys
that was
had
full mission profile. M40s,
M16s,
radios,
203s.
M16s, 203s. Yeah.
How'd you disguise them?
Fucking the worst civilian backpacks in the world. And we had guys go down, like the baseball team was pretty popular because you could cut the end of aluminum bat off. So basically, you think a baseball team, right? Like I don't know, if we're Bill's softball team and we're going to go play softball in San Diego, a sea bag with bats sticking out of it is not something that you wouldn't see, right? And so you could cut the top of an aluminum bat off, and it would slide over the barrel of an M40. So when the barrel's sticking out of the bag, it just looks like a fucking, it just looks like a baseball bat. But anybody who played baseball, like if somebody, that's the thing. People really don't want to see what's around them. 90% of everybody is just ignoring what is around them, because if anybody would have looked, like if anybody would have really looked and went, that fucking baseball bat is 53 inches long. What the fuck? That is a huge baseball. You know what I'm saying? Because it was sticking so
on the
far
same
out, and then everybody had
even if you were sitting there with rifles, people would be like, oh shit, don't look at them guys, they got guns. They just ignore you for that.
And then we all had backpacks that were way too big because the radios were ridiculous back then, and they were way too heavy for like a baseball or whatever. It was just crazy, man. The shit that we would get away with. I remember we had to go through a park one time. Me and Chris had to go through a park, and we're like, because we had to cross a real park that was full of people to get to this. It was a water treatment plant that was the target, sewage water treatment plant, and we had to get to, basically there was a hill that was around the outside of it that had bushes on it. We had to get to that to set up the sniper rifle when the hit went down. I'm like, how the fuck are we gonna get the fucking sniper rifle? And we're wearing like gray coveralls that we got at Walmart or some shit. Like, how are we gonna get the sniper rifle over there? And we're in an abandoned building where we were doing all the RNS from and shit. And I know Chris is gonna be like, that's not what happened. But I think Travis found it. There was a box, a big box for lights, the big ass lights. And so we basically took the M40 in the case. We had those Hoppies number 9 cases back then, those, not the, the real thin, smaller cases.
Like the Walmart ones.
Yeah, like the Walmart ones. And we took the case, put it in the box, cut a hole where the handle would stick out. And so we carried that motherfucker across the park like a suitcase. And from the outside, it's a box of lights. But again, if anybody would have been paying attention, they'd have been like,
Bruce Willis movie.
What the fuck? He's got a, yeah. If Bruce Willis would have been in the park, he'd have been like, military-age males wearing combat boots, gray coveralls, and that looks like a handle sticking out of that light box. I better follow these guys, right? You do the best you can, because again, in those days, we got no support.
Man, you've always said, I mean, we went into that power plant. We went right up, just drove right in there. You just act like you own the place. Put on a fucking construction vest, have a ladder and a hard hat. Nobody will look twice.
Yeah, if you do that, people will,
because they don't know who each other are, much
right.
less who you are. They don't know if you're their boss.
People will leave you alone.
Clipboard.
Clipboard. Have a good backstory. You just got to have a good backstory too. That's the other thing. We were going to a hide site in somewhere in Sacramento, and we had a Aero van, right? Astro. We had an Astro van, and what I did was I had the guys go get a bunch of cardboard boxes, and we basically filled the windows with cardboard boxes back and front, got a basketball and a fucking lamp from my house and left like 6 inches in the back. So the lamp and the basketball could be in there. But then when you looked in the window, it'd be lamp, basketball, and a bunch of cardboard boxes. And then I had them cut it out. So the interior of the van was empty, but cardboard all up against, so it looked like boxes. And then we put a curtain rod between the seats and hung clothes in the middle. So you couldn't, even if you looked in, you would see the clothes, you wouldn't see. And then I had a full fucking R&S team in the back of the van, buoy back there on the radio and shit. A 104 set up in there so we could talk to the ship. And then
how many guys?
It was buoy. It was 6 of us, I think, in that van.
Will it just punch through the minivan, or did you have to have it out?
We did a loop on the inside of the van, and we were going up there, and I missed a turn, and ended up going down an alley that was a known drug alley. We didn't know this. We just missed a turn. We were ratlining ourselves in the van up to San Francisco, or not San Francisco, it was Sacramento, and. I can't think of the kid's name that was with me in the passenger seat. Anyways, so we're driving and shit, and as soon as I go down this alley, whoop whoop, fucking police car hits us up, and I'm like, shit. If he because we're not, there's no way we're in an area where Mike Roof has talked to anybody, and we got M16s, we got the whole works, right? I'm sure he probably at that time would have been like, I don't even want to know, and left, but. We got all that in the van. We get lit up, and I'm like, get the map out. So he gets the map out. I'm like, I'm taking you to school. We're going to Sacramento State. I'm taking you to school. We missed the turn. Just look at the map, right? And so he gets it out, and he's looking at the map and shit. Cop comes up.
And you're in civilian clothes.
We're all in civilian clothes, yeah. And shines a flashlight in, roll the window down, do the whole insurance thing. It's a rental, so good, right? And he's asking us, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm fucking lost. I took a wrong turn where I'm trying to get my boy to school. He's, and I don't even think it was school time, right? Like, I think it was would have been like mid-semester or some shit. And the cop shines the light in, sees all the stuff. He's like, yeah, you definitely, and then he immediately calmed down. He's like, yeah, you definitely took a wrong turn. This is a fucking, a drug alley. That's what he said. It's a drug alley. We watch this alley all the time for anybody that comes down here. We're trying to clean the area up or whatever. And he's like, where are you trying to go to? And I told, I'm like, we're trying to get to the state. And he's like, oh, okay. You're going to go down here, turn around, get on this off ramp and go blah, blah, blah. He gave us the whole, how to get there and shit. And, that was it. Gave us our shit back and walked away. But it's just having you have to have a good story with whatever it is you're doing too. You can't just you can't just be well camouflaged. You also have to have a story in case your camouflage doesn't work. Like we had this is when I was an instructor. We had an R&S team, battalion recon guys that were very anti the civilian aspect of it. Like they brought their rucks. They weren't going to buy civilian backpacks. They weren't going to, if the Marine Corps is not going to provide it, then fuck it, we're not going to do it and shit. And so they had basically they were dudes in civilian clothes with all their regular kit. And the team leader, unfortunately, this team leader was a boo-boo. And they got compromised. And so they got compromised on site, not by us, but by a civilian. And so Booker's like, what's your E&E plan? What's your plan? He's like, we're going to bug out here, head to the train tracks, follow the train. Booker's like, the fucking train tracks go right through town. And they're like, that's our E&E plan. And so he's like, you ain't going to make it. You just ain't going to make it. And they're like, but that's the plan. He goes, that's your plan? Execute your plan.
So they got compromised, and then they called in like, hey, we're
yeah,
caught.
They called in compromise, and then you have to do all your
or did an instructor
plans.
be like, you're compromised?
No. They got compromised by civilian because they were doing dumb
and we
shit.
knew cops were coming or something.
No cops were called because this was up in Sacramento too, and it was on a base. So it was on a closed base. I think I can't remember what Air Force base it was, but it was on a closed base. But their E&E plan required them to leave the base. And so Booker's like, that's not going to happen. You're going to get fucking caught.
These guys got rolled up, didn't they?
Yeah, you're going to get caught. And they're like, man, this is our plan. It's our plan. So he's like, okay, execute your plan. And literally, I'm like, they got M16. They got M16s and shit. He's like, yep. And literally,
Did they have ammo? Were they loaded?
No, they weren't loaded. Within 15 minutes, I think Mike Roof got the call. Like, they got the call that, hey, we've got this fucking team all hemmed up. Somebody called real cops, and real cops came. I mean,
did real cop shit.
Yeah, did real cop shit. I'm actually, like, the team leader was put in the back of the car. I'm actually surprised.
You should have let them sit in county jail for the weekend.
I don't think they would. As soon as they started going through their bags, they'd have been like,
I'd just be like, we don't know who they are.
This has got to be some crazy shit. But I am surprised. And the commandant of the Marine Corps, I don't know which commandant it was, but killed that program as far as going out in town and doing real shit.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because it kept getting bigger and bigger. More people wanted to join the party. And his thought was, if a fucking helicopter goes down in downtown Los Angeles or San Francisco, the Marine Corps will never recover from it. So we can't do it the way we're doing it anymore. But I mean, when I think back on all the years that I spent either doing the missions or being an instructor, the Marine Corps, I don't want to say the Marine Corps was lucky. SOTG was damn lucky. We never got anybody killed. Not from the perspective of, a Marine shooting at a target and missing a target or anything like that. But I'm talking about like law enforcement, because we did have some situations where dudes got rolled up and legitimately the cops were like, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right?
Everybody's
you
got
motherfuckers
guns.
are all in civilian gear with your fucking M16s and shit. And, we actually there was one target site, it was in San Francisco, where they actually, it was kind of a weird scenario where we were on close to county lines, right? And so where we were at, they all knew, the law enforcement agencies all there knew, Mike had made that liaison, and they all knew that we were there. And then, but the next county over didn't get the word. And so on the target sites, we would do shit like, and it was for the RNS guys, because, you're sitting there watching the target site. They would do shit where they would patrol around the building with plastic AKs and shit. We had all those rubber duck AKs for the actors and shit on site. And then on this particular site, they brought the dude out. I think he was supposed to be a pilot.
Wasn't he in his underwear or something?
Yeah, they brought him out in his fucking underwear and shit, and kind of,
and had guns.
And had the guns and kind of did some shit. Well, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, somebody saw it and called the police.
And SWAT showed up.
And then SWAT showed up. And SWAT is actually stacked underneath where the RNS element was. It was Sarnice's RNS element at the time. And so SWAT stacked there, and Issa's like, hey man, I thought the motherfucking hit wasn't going down till tomorrow. And they're like, yeah, it's not going down. He's like, why is Force Recon stacked up
10 feet away from me?
At the breach point right now, getting ready to go in. So like they were ready to go just moments before an RNS instructor was like, whoa, hold the fuck. Hey guys, this is just play. It's not real. And, the reality, if you think about it, if they would have got the green light to go in, which I don't know if they would have, right? Because there's a lot more, hoops that you have to jump through when you're fucking a law enforcement officer. But you got dudes.
They were there. They were going in.
You got dudes in a building dressed up like old-timey terrorists with AK-47s, right? And the thing is, the kids inside the building, they were just, Lance Corporal Marines that had been voluntold.
No live ammo.
They were rubber ducks. They weren't even live guns. They wouldn't have, like, if the flashbang would have came in, right? If the flashbang would have came in the door, they'd have been like, oh, this is the shit they've been telling us about.
They'd have gone op 4.
Yeah, they'd have gone op 4 on these guys and got toasted.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, we had some close calls at SOTG. There was another one, similar thing happened in downtown Los Angeles, but Dick Walk headed that thing off before it got too crazy. But we used to do some really cool shit. And I will say this: those years at SOTG and the years in the 4 times that I ran through the package was the best training I ever had in the Marine Corps. Because you learned everything. Like, you really, really had to learn how to use the fucking radios for ship-to-shore communications, and that was back when it was hard, guys.
Have you had any better training since?
Than SOTG? Hell no.
Do you think modern training, modern equipment, modern techniques are better than there? Do you think those are still applicable?
There's a lot of equipment that is way better than what we were using back in the day. I mean, the radios are way better. They're way smaller. Like it would be really cool to see an old school SOTG package run today because of the type of equipment they have.
No shit.
That they really could be. I mean, we thought we were 007, but they really could 007 it
Especially
now.
all the non-permissive environment stuff right now. No shit. There we were.
Surrounded. I mean, great. It was a good training package. The guys that set that up originally, because obviously it was there before me. It was great training. Again, just to kind of give you an idea how old I am, is the first time I went through the SOTG package, we had a PRC 77,
shit.
no KY 57.
At least it wasn't a 20.
And then a 104 with a KY 68, which was exactly the same size as a 104. You used to have to carry them separately. So, like, Chris would carry the 104, I would carry the 68. And whenever you got somewhere you had to talk encrypted, you'd put your backpacks together and hook a little wire to it, and it would never work.
Wait till you see the shit I have inside right now.
It would never work. So that's how old I am. And it was great. It was fucking the best training, man. There was nothing. I mean, I've done a lot of cool shit. I've had an opportunity to do some cool shit in the military. I've done some awesome training ops, like regular stuff, but man, the stuff at SOTG really set the standard for how you should operate, meaning, you were creating that invisibility of being able to operate in any environment. So it was pretty awesome.
Just built some cradles to hold all the brand new radio that do everything.
Uh-huh.
And we've got it so that it'll adjust. It'll fit several different radios for girth, width, and depth. And we just have a Velcro panel, so we can just put this thing inside any pack that's got Velcro inside it.
That's cool.
So it'll fit in all of our...
Did you get one of those radios?
I have one inside.
I wanted to ask him about that, but I just never got it.
I don't own it. They're Evan's.
Right.
Evan has them. Did you meet the T-Rex guys?
I met him. I didn't hang out.
Yeah, I talked to that dude for, 2 hours.
Yeah, you were talking to him for a while.
Great conversation. I'm like, hey... Can we podcast? And he kind of wasn't ready for it. He's like, and then at the end, he's like, why don't you come down and we'll get you on our podcast? I'm like, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool.
He puts out great content. I mean,
really good content.
He puts out great content. I love his, anytime he's talking about, whether it's covert radios or he's always got
all the electronics.
He's got that. He's at the next level, right? So it's pretty good, even though
Do you know Green Line Tactical, Don Edwards, night vision guy? The guys that brought in the little bird here and did the class here.
Yeah, no.
So all they do is night fighter stuff. Well, he does a lot. He does, pistol, rifle, all that stuff, but it is highly around night vision stuff. And I said, hey, my buddies, they're doing some classes and just bringing guys in to do some private stuff. Could we get you out to do a private class? He's like, absolutely, whatever you want to do. So we've got that. He was here this morning on his way out of town.
The problem is we don't have cool night vision.
He brings it. He'll bring it.
Oh, if he brings it, that's
he has
even better.
It, or he can cater, do it around
that's
your
even
old.
better because we're still using, some old shit.
A and PBS 4.
Yeah.
A and PBS 2. Big IR light.
Yep.
Right on. You got anything to add here at the end? We're gonna go do Patreon here.
Do I have anything to add? No.
Nothing.
Nothing. I don't have anything to add. I mean, we went down some rabbit holes.
They need to know how the world was when it was good.
There's going to be a bunch of people who will be like, that never happened.
It's just like mud flood when you look back. Well, imagine if they had free electricity.
That never happened. Especially the Marines are the worst because you guys live in a world
so shitty now.
It's not real. Anyways, but no, I don't have anything to add.
All right.
I mean, what can I add? I love you.
Dog Kennel Little Spoon decals.
Yep, Dog Kennel Little Spoon.
Make sure you join Dog Kennel Little Spoon. Go over there and subscribe and interact on the shorts and the content. Jeff has a Patreon. How many on your Patreon now? Like 8,000?
I wish there was 8,000.
Let's boost him up to 8,000. Join that Patreon. You guys get to ask questions, and he builds videos, and he gives a ton of gear away.
Giving a ton of stuff away. Are you
running out of gear yet?
Not yet.
Do you need me to give you some stuff to give away?
You got some old stuff back there?
No, new shit.
Let's get some of the old stuff.
Like what?
I don't know.
What do you want to give them?
Let's go in the garage and just find one of them bins. It's the dusty bin. It's from because the reality is that's the shit.
We should go to the shop.
That's the shit that they want. I mean, it's like it's like if I have two Strider knives. If I have two Strider knives and one is like I got a.
Are you giving away Strider knives?
Not yet. If I got like a Mick custom knife, right? And then I have a Strider that has Boss heat treating on it. They want the Boss heat treated one. They're like, you guys don't even know. You don't even know because Mick put some love in whenever he makes his knives.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's because Boss is dead, and so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, collector shit.
Everybody
wants that old Mustang.
Yeah, the old Mustang
with no air conditioning, no heat,
no windows. You got to roll down by hand.
Yep.
It's cricket loaf, guys. Those are the cricket loaves of cars.
All right, guys. We're going to jump over to Patreon. Make sure you join the Patreon, SOE Tactical Gear Patreon, Dog Kennel Little Spoon Patreon. And we're going to do the Q&A here for you guys. We will see you in a few minutes.